Station Obsidian floated in the dead zone between three hostile territories, which made it the perfect place for those who didn't want to be found. Security Chief Thane had seen everything in his 15 years managing the station's chaos. Smugglers, war criminals, rogue AI fragments, even a Keltharian death priest once. He learned to read danger the way pilots read star charts. That's why the woman in Bay 7 bothered him. Her manifest said she was Dr. Maya Chun, a human environmental consultant hired to assess the station's failing atmosphere processors. Humans weren't rare on Obsidian, but they usually arrived with the swagger of their species. Loud, armed, traveling in packs. This one came alone, carrying nothing but a single gray case, wearing clothes so plain they bordered on invisible. Thane watched her on the security feed as she cleared customs. The Draken guards, each one capable of tearing through reinforced steel, moved aside before she even reached them. Not aggressively, not with visible fear. They just moved. Weird, muttered Sale, Thane's deputy, a four-armed Vexian who'd survived the Hive Wars. Run her background again. The computer returned the same results. Dr. Maya Chun, born Earth, New Singapore District. Credentials from 3 universities. 14 prior consulting jobs, all with glowing reviews. Nothing remarkable. Everything about her was unremarkable. That's what made Thane's scales itch. Ambassador Karot was not easily impressed and never intimidated. The Vorthen had conquered 17 systems before their empire collapsed, and Karot had personally commanded fleets that reduced planets to cinders. He'd come to Obsidian to broker arms deals in the shadows, using his diplomatic immunity as a shield. Thane was reviewing surveillance footage from the promenade when he saw it happen. Dr. Chin was sitting at a cafe, reading something on a datapad, a cup of what looked like tea growing cold beside her. Kuroda's entourage, 6 heavily armed guards, swept through the crowd toward the VIP section. Their path would take them directly past her table. Karot saw her first. The massive Vorthen, who stood nearly 8 feet tall in his ceremonial armor, simply stopped. His guards didn't understand immediately and nearly collided with him. Karot stared at the small human woman. She looked up from her datapad, met his eyes for perhaps 2 seconds, then returned to her reading. The ambassador turned around and left the promenade. His guards scrambled after him, confused. Later, Thane checked the ambassador's schedule. Karot had canceled every appointment and locked himself in his quarters. His staff reported he was packing to leave the station immediately. When Thane pulled up the cafe footage and zoomed in on Dr. Chen's face during those 2 seconds, he saw nothing. No threat, no weapon, just a slight tilt of her head and a calm, patient expression, like a teacher watching a child about to make a mistake. "I want to interview her," Thane told Sale. "On what grounds? She hasn't broken any laws. She's causing disruptions." Karot was here to finalize a deal worth 50 million credits to the station's economy. He left because he looked at a woman having tea. Thane's claws tapped against his desk. "Pull up the incident reports from the last 48 hours. Since she arrived." Sale worked in silence for a moment. Then his crystalline eyes widened. 17 incidents involving violence or theft in the 72 hours before her arrival. In the 48 hours since? 2. Both minor. The Razor clan haven't been seen since yesterday. Some of the merchants are saying they fled the station. The Razor clan were Keltharian pirates who'd claimed the lower decks as territory for 3 months. Thane had been building a case to justify a major security operation to remove them. Dangerous, expensive, likely to result in casualties. They were violent, organized, and fear was their primary weapon. "Find out where Dr. Chun went yesterday," Thane said quietly. The answer came back within minutes. Dr. Chun had taken a solo trip to the lower decks. She'd walked through Razor Clan territory for approximately 40 minutes, taking atmospheric readings and collecting data samples. She'd returned unharmed. The Razor Clan had vanished 6 hours later. The first body appeared in a maintenance shaft on the 3rd day of Dr. Chen's visit. Rax the Flayer had earned his name on a dozen worlds. His species, The threats were natural predators, faster, stronger, and more vicious than humans could ever hope to be. Rax had killed at least 30 sentients with his bare claws. He'd been wanted on 7 systems. They found him curled in a ball, dead from what the medical examiner called catastrophic cardiac failure brought on by extreme stress. He was literally scared to death, the examiner told Thane. I've never seen terror hormones at these levels. Not in a Threx. Not in anything. The second body was discovered 12 hours later. Then the third. All known criminals. All found in isolated areas. All dead from fear. Thane pulled every available surveillance feed. The third victim, a Vexian enforcer named Krell, had been recorded entering a storage bay alone. The timestamp showed Dr. Chun had been in the same section of the station. But there was no footage of the meeting, no evidence of contact, just Krell entering a room, and the sounds of him dying in terror over the next 6 minutes, screaming at something no one else could see. Thane found Dr. Chun in the hydroponics bay, examining a wall of vertical gardens with the patient attention of someone studying a technical schematic. Dr. Chun, I need to speak with you. She didn't startle. She simply turned, offered a polite smile, and nodded. Of course, Security Chief Thane. I've been expecting you. They walked to a quiet observation deck overlooking the station's central hub. Dr. Chun waited, hands folded, while Thane struggled to begin. 3 people have died since you arrived, he finally said. Actually, she corrected gently. You haven't found the last one yet. Former slave trader named Vexus. She's in the recycling processing center. Natural causes. She had a heart defect she didn't know about. The stress triggered it. Thane's blood ran cold. How did you know that? Because I understand patterns, Chief Thane. Vexus was a creature of habit. When people like her suddenly change their routines, start making mistakes, it indicates stress. When that stress comes from fear, and that fear has a specific source, the pattern becomes predictable. You're saying they were afraid of you. I'm saying they were afraid of what they recognized in themselves. Dr. Chin looked out at the station, where thousands of beings went about their dangerous lives. Your station is an ecosystem, Chief. Every ecosystem has predators and prey. Most predators here are simple. They use violence, intimidation, obvious displays of power. But humans didn't become Earth's apex predator through strength or speed or claws. Then how? She finally looked at him, and for just a moment, Thane understood what Karot had seen. Not a threat. Something worse. Understanding. Complete, total understanding of exactly who you were and what you would do. We became apex predators because we learned to recognize patterns, Dr. Chin said. We can see what you're going to do before you know you're going to do it. We can predict, adapt, and respond. We can make other predators understand, on an instinctive level, that we have already won. You killed them with fear. No, her voice was patient. They killed themselves with fear, because deep down, every predator knows what it feels like to become prey. I simply reminded them. Why are you really here? Thane asked. Dr. Chun smiled, and this time it reached her eyes. I really am an environmental consultant, Chief Thane. The atmosphere processors genuinely do need maintenance. But I'm also, let's call a specialist in ecosystem management. Your station was becoming unstable. Too many apex predators in one territory creates chaos. Someone hired you to clean up obsidian. Several someones. Your station sits in a strategically important location. Various parties would prefer it remain functional and relatively peaceful. Violence is expensive. Fear is free. Thane's mind raced through the implications. Corrode. The Razor Clan. The 3 dead criminals. You're systematically removing the destabilizing elements. I'm allowing the ecosystem to self-correct, Dr. Chen said. Most predators, when they realize there's something higher on the food chain, will simply leave. Some refuse to accept that reality. Those ones, she shrugged. Well, evolution has always been about adaptation or extinction, and the rest of the station will be safer. Your incident reports will continue to decline. The merchants will thrive. Trade will increase. Obsidian will become known as neutral ground where deals can happen without interference, all without firing a shot or changing a single law. Thane looked at this small, unremarkable human woman and finally understood what the Drakengard had instinctively known. She was the most dangerous thing on this station. Not because of what she could do, because of what she didn't need to do.